Welcome to the first annual briefing video from the Cayman Islands Government Office in the United Kingdom, also known as CIGO UK, which marks the end of my second year as the Cayman Islands representative to the United Kingdom and Europe. 2017 and 18 has been an exciting time for the office, an exciting time for me. The sea of change in the United Kingdom and in fact in Europe and in the EU continues, with the United Kingdom preparing to leave the European Union and all of the facets and different challenges and opportunities that come with that. The Cayman Islands Government Office in the UK continues to explore initiatives and ideas of how we can continue to strengthen the relationship with the United Kingdom and also identify those opportunities and mitigate against any perceived threats. So this year, the office in the UK continued with a very busy agenda, not least with attending the major political party conferences in September and October of last year, attended the Labour Party conference in Brighton, as well as the Conservative Party conference in Manchester. At that conference, we were able to arrange a number of high-level meetings, not least an extensive meeting with the Premier and the Foreign Secretary at the time, the Right Honourable Boris Johnson, whereby the Premier was able to update the Foreign Secretary on the state of affairs in the Cayman Islands at that time, but also the efforts that the Cayman Islands was able to offer our fellow British overseas territories who were struck by the two massive hurricanes in September of last year. A similar initiative in that context that we took advantage of and was very successful was the Great Festival of Innovation hosted in Hong Kong by the UK's Department of International Trade, through our representations of what the Cayman Islands could actually bring to such a global festival, and also our current presence in Hong Kong through our financial services offerings. The Department of International Trade invited the Premier and the Cayman Islands to form part of the official delegation of the United Kingdom. And the Premier led the delegation and also had a similar very high-level bilateral meeting with the Secretary of State, the Honourable Dr. Liam Fox. Also in February of this year, I was elected by my peers, the fellow overseas territory representatives, to be the chairman of the United Kingdom Overseas Territories Association. Through that now, the goals and objectives that we set for UKATA as an association for this year, two main things, was the review and reforming of UKATA's constitution, and second was to have a review of the overall relationship between the United Kingdom and the overseas territories collectively. Internally, the office has been working on our communications as well as governance documents. It is a very small office with only 4 permanent staff at all times, all being Caymanian, which I'm very proud of, and long may that continue. The travel to Brussels is regular, the travel throughout the UK, whether it be to attend party conference or to visit areas where we're trying to kick off initiatives such as Cornwall and Wales. So we spent this year, a large part of this year, internally working out what those policies and procedures and what's appropriate for accountability, but also for appropriate records and audits, so that everything is within or exceeds both the UK legislation and also Cayman legislation, which we, depending on the circumstance, we have to adhere to. Obviously, in the latter part of this reporting year, the UK Parliament decided to accept an amendment. This amendment, which is now legislation, essentially looks to legislate directly for the British Overseas Territories, notably not the Crown dependencies that have financial services, and essentially force us to create public registers of beneficial ownership by the end of 2020, is an opinion of the UK government and an adoption of their own domestic policy. Now, it's important to explain that in this arena, there are global standards. And the global standards are largely set by the OECD, which is a large global group. It's important to understand and know that the Cayman Islands has always maintained and is usually early adopters of OECD standards. But what the UK Parliament has done is put in their primary legislation something that looks to force the British Overseas Territories with financial services to create public registers. But it does not look to do so for its own Crown dependencies. This act by Parliament, it has created a double standard in the way in which they are treating the British Overseas Territories and their Crown dependencies. So that in itself is an issue that we are addressing, and we are trying to address it constructively and calmly, to have constitutional discussions with the UK government to look at addressing any of the shortfalls within the current constitution, which in itself is very advanced, which will look to address any shortfalls that this type of action by Parliament was not envisaged. We were able to organise meetings with the Right Honourable David Lidington, who is the de facto Deputy Prime Minister, and also the Premier had a meeting with the Prime Minister herself. So we hope that those conversations will continue and end in a constructive manner that looks to have the Cayman Islands Constitution, if you will, refreshed, addressing any issues that will mitigate against future actions by the UK Parliament. On the cultural side of the office, we've had a number of initiatives this year which I'm very proud of. The preparation and celebration of the 60-year anniversary of the Cayman Islands coat of arms. This celebration was held at the Foreign Commonwealth Office in their Durbar court. So it was quite symbolic for the Cayman Islands to host such a grand event, which was attended by over 500 people. A number of people from Cayman traveled over, not least the Premier led a large delegation of not only his government, but also by the Speaker of the House and the Leader of the Opposition. And also we had a number of individuals who specialize in Cayman culture. The Swanky Kitchen Band came over and entertained everybody. It was a fantastic part of the evening. And also we had a number of cultural displays with gigs and how the gigs were made. There was a demonstration of how thatch rope was made. And we also had Cayman-inspired canapes and drinks. The feedback we received was absolutely phenomenal. This year we also participated in the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which was hosted in London by the Prime Minister. The Premier of the Cayman Islands also attended as not only the Premier of the Cayman Islands, but also the President of the Political Council of UKADO. At that meeting, the Premier was able to meet and discuss with other Commonwealth leaders about common issues, or simply to update them on how Cayman was doing and create relationships that we hope will bear fruit in times to come. Visit us on our many forums, our website, Facebook, Twitter, and have a look at our videos. Continue to follow us, and just as important, tell us what you think, because we're here for you, for the Cayman Islands.